this is Soundout here, and welcome to the 2021 Marvel Legends Rundown. How many is too many?
It's morphin' time!
So we've covered a lot of 2021 toy lines on the channel in the last month. We talked about G.I. Joe Classified Series, Masters of the Universe Masterverse, Power Rangers Lightning Collection, and now we've come to Marvel Legends. If you haven't checked out any of those previous rundown videos this month, please take a look. I'm very proud of the work I've done there. People seem to be really enjoying them. So if you haven't had a chance to see any of those, they'll be in the playlist, the cards, and of course on my channel. So check them out, and thank you to those that have already seen them. I appreciate it. So let's get into it. We're not going to go as in-depth as we did on the previous videos, simply because there were a 150 Marvel Legends released in 2021. Wow, that's a lot. And for this video, we're going to be brief. I'm going to be honest. With the other rundowns, when it was like, oh, hey, we had like 21 figures. Oh, hey, we had like 29 figures. I could do several shots per figure, go into some more depth and detail. If I do that for this, we're going to be here for 4.5 hours. And I don't want to make 4.5 hour video, let alone subject anyone to watching that. So it's going to go by a little quick, and I apologize if it's a little too quick in places. Of those 150, I did pick up 82, which was way more than I thought I was going to get. But then again, at the end of the year, like 30 Legends showed up in the last 2 weeks, so it was a little bit of a mess. For those wondering what qualifies as a 2021 release, just like the other rundowns, if it was retail or fan channel, it needed to release at 3 different stores. If it was exclusive, it needed to ship from the exclusive retailer or from Hasbro Pulse if it was offered, or found in store for one of those exclusives. That's the rule, and pretty much nothing was too debated here. So we're going to go through it. There were 96 retail released figures, 54 exclusives for a total of 12 waves. I've done a lot of research to make sure I didn't miss anything, but if I did, please leave a comment and we'll come back to it in 2023 when we do the 2022 rundown. I'll be like, oh, hey, sorry, forgot about this one, because it's a possibility here. There was a lot. So, for those wondering, Marvel Legends, 6-inch scale action figure line, collecting the Marvel Universe. If you're in the toy world, I think you know what it is. If you don't, I have previous Marvel Legends rundowns where I go over it a little bit more in depth, but this is it. We're going to go through all 150 figures, whether I own them or not, and I'll do a top 10. So hopefully I can get this thing under an hour. But let's find out as we dive into 2021's Marvel Legends. All right, so we'll be going wave by wave through the retail releases, then the exclusives. So starting off, figure number 1, Miles Morales from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So this actually is a pretty cool looking figure, matches the animated appearance of Miles from the movie, but I don't really want it to have a specific animated design shelf, and I mostly stick to comics, so this was a pass. Figure number 2, Gwen Stacy, also coming with Spider-Ham, again from Into the Spider-Verse, matches the animated look pretty well, and I'm glad that they made these figures. I have a comic book Spider-Gwen, and that satisfies Spider-Gwen for my collection. Naturally, we also have Prowler, which honestly, I really like the Prowler design from Into the Spider-Verse, and if he could blend in better with the comic shelf, he may have replaced the comic book Prowler on my shelf, but he didn't, so I ended up passing on him. The classic Peter B. Parker, the down on his luck Peter Parker for the ages, is also a very nice looking figure, but once again, see from above, I just wasn't going to get the Spider-Verse figures. Next up, we have the Hand Ninja, a long requested foot soldier for the Marvel Legends display. And while I do collect Marvel stuff and comic stuff, I don't really care to have hand ninjas, and they were kind of hard to find, and so I may have won across one and gotten it, but I was like, yeah, I'm not a huge Daredevil guy, so hand ninjas weren't on my radar. Figure number 6 of the year, Frogman. I have no idea who he is, but I'm really impressed they made a figure of him. It's that wacky obscureness that I love about this line, and I'm sure there's a lot of people happy to see this character. And figure number 7, the Build-A-Figure for the wave was Stilt-Man. And what's kind of neat here is that the stilt legs were included with the hand ninja, so you could army build hand ninjas while also making your Stilt-Man taller and taller and taller. And I know people that got them up to ridiculous heights, so I thought that was a really neat little gimmick. But again, not a big Daredevil guy, didn't really need a Stilt-Man, but overall a nice cap off to a very strangely put together wave, but kind of a neat one. Moving to the second wave of the year, figure number 8, Wolverine. Now this Wolverine is actually pretty cool. He is based primarily on the House of X version of Wolverine, which is his current new brown suit. And he has the smiling face, because Wolverine was very happy when he got to Krakoa and had the wonderful island of mutants to hang out with. But he also comes with the alternate head with the beard to be the possible future timeline version of Wolverine from Powers of X, so it made it a very nice package. Figure number 9, Charles Xavier, also based on House of X. This is the one where he's got Cerebro attached to his head and he has a new body. What I do like about the figure is that it is a very simple design and it translated well. Figure number 10, Omega Sentinel. This is a character that appeared earlier in the comics and they include that as an alternate head, but this is primarily based on the Powers of X version of Omega Sentinel, and it looks pretty good. I think overall this turned out as a pretty nice figure. It's just adding to the Sentinel army. Figure number 11 is Jean Grey in that damn Marvel Girl green dress. I'm just gonna say this, one of the worst figures of the year. She barely can stand. Her articulation is just so terrible because it doesn't move, it doesn't bend in any way. Her boots are painted on instead of being molded on, and it's this dumb costume that she had back in like the 60s and 70s that she's moved beyond. She's moved beyond this one, and in the comics, for some reason, they just won't let it go. Like, it's constantly, she gets a new costume design, and then in the main book, she's back to the stupid green dress. Just a waste of a figure. Figure number 12, Moira McTaggart, a very classic X-Men supporting cast member who's been around since the early days of X-Men, and I'm glad to see she's finally got a figure. What's really cool here is, much like Wolverine, she represents two versions of the same person, because you can have her with the lab coat to be a classic Moira, and she also comes with alternate parts, including swappable arms for the first time in Legends, really, to have her as Moira X from Powers of X as well as House of X. And that is pretty cool because you have both the original version of Moira plus the version who is bouncing through time, learning about the possible futures of the X-Men. Figure number 13 is Magneto. This isn't his House of X appearance, which means it is an all white. I don't like the head sculpt on this one. It's the same as the one from the Family Matters 3-pack a couple years ago. It's doofy. It doesn't look really intimidating or impressive. It needs a lot of facial detail that it's lacking, and I hope that we can get a better Magneto head sculpt the next time the character is revisited. Figure 14, Cyclops, who, again, is in House of X look, and I honestly like this costume design for the most part. It's just that Bucky cap body mold still prominent. I know it's finally going away in 2022, but it does drag the figure down, but they did give him new arms, which was pretty nice to see. Figure number 15 is the Tri-Sentinel Build-A-Figure, which is actually the Theta Sentinel from Powers of X. Overall, pretty cool figure. He's a completely new mold. I love the 3-head design. This was a neat design in Powers of X and one that you'd look at initially and think maybe that wouldn't translate well into an action figure, but it actually did, and I'm really glad they made it. Next up, we have our first deluxe release of the year, Thanos. But this Thanos is a brand new mold, giving him a more classic and larger appearance, and I'm very, very happy with it. He looks really intimidating and impressive in the way that I think that classic Thanos should look. In addition to that, he comes with an alternate head, which could be used on the main Thanos body, but actually works well with the Wal-Mart Thanos from a few years ago to make King Thanos from one of those possible futures. Starting off the next wave, figure 17, Shang-Chi from the MCU, as seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. A very nice figure overall, a completely brand new sculpt, which means he has pinless joints, he looks really good when posed, and honestly is pretty fun, plus a wide variety of hand options to give him a lot of martial arts prowess. Figure number 18 is Wenwu, who was the main villain of Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, and honestly, looks good, but I just didn't feel like picking it up because his costume is not as close to the final version as Shang-Chi and Jia Ling, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe Wenwu will get a redo later, like some of the MCU Marvel Legends get, and I would look forward to that, because he might have some effect parts with the 10 rings, as opposed to them just being sculpted straight to the arms. Figure number 19 is Jia Ling, a very, very great character in the film, and I was very excited to get her figure once I saw the movie. I think the marketing downplayed how important she was. Overall, the figure turned out nice. I think the rope dart could have had more options. It's just only available as a coiled up piece. I would have liked to have seen some form of an effect of her whipping it around to attack different enemies. Figure number 20 is Death Dealer, also from the Shang-Chi film. I Skip this one. His skirt just looks like it restricts all the articulation because there's no cuts in it. It's just one big piece. And from every review I saw, yeah, you're not going to get many posing options out of this guy. And considering he's one of those characters that exists simply to be a martial arts character for someone to fight, it's kind of a bummer that he's so restricted as an action figure. Number 21, Civil Warrior. So this always happens when they do a MCU movie with a diverse lead. It's like, oh no, we got to throw a Captain America or an Iron Man or both in the wave to sell it. Civil Warrior sat around shelves. He's from Contest of Champions. It's a cool enough design. It's an easy repaint. Why in a Shang-Chi wave when we could have gotten like other characters from Shang-Chi? Same thing goes for the Tony Stark AI version, which, I mean, it's cool. It's a nice way to get like a yellow and red classic Iron Man as opposed to the gold and red of the 80th anniversary one. And it's cool to get the AI Tony Stark head, but like there's other Shang-Chi characters we could have gotten, especially, you know, Katie gets put as an exclusive. But yeah, no, let's just throw another Iron Man in because we can't trust these characters to sell on their own, apparently. It's really bizarre. This happened with Black Panther and it happened here, and both times it felt weird. The Build-A-Figure of the Wave, figure 23, Mr. Hyde, who has nothing to do with Shang-Chi, barely anything to do with Civil Warrior or AI Tony Stark. These are just 3 figures they threw in to build out a wave. And honestly, you should have just released the 4 Shang-Chi figures, or the 5 if you include Katie, which we'll talk about later. Those 5 should have just been a wave without a Build-A-Figure. The Build-A-Figure concept's starting to drag on me as like, why do we need to do this? Figure 24 is our next deluxe release. Again, saying, why do we need to do Build-A-Figures? Here is MODOK. He's technically a Build-A-Figure because he comes separated in the box. You have to put them together. But honestly, it's a deluxe MODOK, and he looks fantastic. I think the $50 price was a little high, but I understand with the rate of things going up with materials and shipping. And overall, he went on sale so many times. MODOK turned out really great. It tied in with his animated series coming out this year as well, which was hilarious. And I'm just really happy with the figure. Plus, the fact he can hold his accessories inside of himself is the coolest feature of the entire year. Kicking off the 4th wave, figure 25, Scarlet Witch from WandaVision. Now this is a really great figure, and honestly, I really love the way this looks. Like I said, I don't usually collect the MCU figures, but I did pick up a couple of these here and there, including this entire wave, because I really love the Disney Plus shows for the MCU. And honestly, this Scarlet Witch transformation felt so earned in the show, and as a figure, it turned out really nice, especially the way they sculpted the skirt so it didn't get in the way of articulation. I love to see stuff like that. Figure 26 is the Vision, also from WandaVision. It's actually resculpted almost entirely from the previous Vision figure, new cape, new head, some new gloves and boots, and it looks a lot better. I kind of want to see this version done back in the original colors because I love the cape on this a lot more, and the scaling feels closer to what it should be. Figure 27 is Variant Loki. This is interesting because this is the version from the Loki series, and he's wearing the suit and tie that he had in the first couple episodes of the show, which, you know, that show went into some crazy places. But overall, I mean, it's the suit and tie body with Loki's head. Nothing else to say. Figure 28, hailing from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, is Winter Soldier. And this is honestly a pretty nice Bucky figure overall, but one of the biggest problems is he doesn't come with a gun. Other figures this year and last year and next year come with guns, but no gun for Bucky. As is, he just has fists and no gun. It's really weird, but it's probably one of the nicer MCU Winter Soldiers we got because Sebastian Stan's face is hard to capture. Figure 29 is US Agent. Now this is clearly based on concept art because it's missing a ton of details. It has too many details in some spots and it's just kind of a giant mess. But I gotta say, it turned out nice as a body mold, and hopefully we'll see a repaint of this the next time John Walker pops up in the MCU. Figure number 30 is Baron Zemo, also from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This figure is fantastic. It's got a great likeness. It has the updated look for him from the show. He's got a gun. He's got his book that was a prominent part in Civil War. It's nice to get this character finally in a figure form, and this one turned out quite fantastic. Figure number 31, Captain America. Here is Sam Wilson's Captain America costume as a figure. Unfortunately, it feels like something's missing. That's because figure 31.5 is Captain America's wings, which were the Build-A-Figure for this wave. And you know what? The wings look great. When you have it on the stand, you can get him slightly off the ground. He's got Red Wing popped up as a little, drone thing. But But the quality control is something else, because this whole display looks good when you get it lined up and in place, but Red Wing falls off easy, the stand comes out, the wings are floppy. It's kind of a giant disaster, and, you know, hopefully we'll get like a deluxe Captain America when they do Captain America 4. To get like maybe a nicer version, like how they updated Vulture recently. This is just kind of a giant disaster, and it's unfortunate because I did buy the entire wave to get these wings. I'm glad to have them. I just wish the quality was a little bit higher on them. Kicking off the fifth wave, figure 32, Doctor Doom. Now this is specifically Doctor Doom from the Secret Wars event, the modern one, not the classic, when he became god of all creation, and also apparently ripped Thanos' spine out. And I don't remember that, but then again, I kind of want to forget that comic. I do collect Doctor Doom figures, so this was a no-brainer, and it's nice to get a white Doom, even if it's not quite the white Doom from like the Future Foundation comics, but it turned out pretty good. It uses the previous Doom mold, and I have no problems with that. Figure 33 is Dormammu. This is a supervillain specific wave. There's no heroes in it, which is really cool. And Dormammu is in his classic appearance, so he's more human-sized looking, has some cool fire effects. I took the black thing off of his face, and it looks a lot better for me. And honestly, it's a nice Dormammu for the most part. Figure 34, the Hood. I know nothing of the Hood. I will probably never learn anything about the Hood. This was a weird one. It was the only one in the wave where I went, huh, and I didn't even bother opening them. But yeah, I bought him for the Build-A-Figure part. It's the only one I bought this year that I was like, yeah, I didn't really need this figure. Figure number 35, Lady Deathstrike, one of my most requested X-Men villains, and she turned out really nice. Brand new mold head to toe, really great articulation range, really great sculpting and detail. I really like Lady Deathstrike. Number 36, we have Arcade. Arcade was not one I expected. I don't know why, because he uses mostly the suit body, the platform shoes, the bow tie. It looks like Arcade. He's ready to play games with superheroes and torment them in some way. Also, it's funny because Arcade also showed up in the MODOK show this year in a very funny role. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe Hasbro had a little bit of clue as to who was showing up in MODOK in 2021. Figure 37, the AIM Scientist Supreme. Perfect companion to MODOK. Perfect companion to the MODOK show. Great looking figure. It's the modern Scientist Supreme outfit. I love the little hollow pad thing. Honestly, it's a pretty solid figure. I just love the way it turned out. And yeah, I like it more than the other AIM-based figures we've gotten before. Figure number 38 is Red Skull. Now this is a very classic looking Red Skull, and it's what I've wanted. I actually made a custom Red Skull just because there wasn't a good one out there. I really like this one. Very classic, green jumpsuit, angry looking skull head, comes with a Tesseract. All you could want from a Red Skull figure, all rolled into one. Figure number 39 is the Build-A-Figure Xemnu. Now this is one of those crazy Hulk villains that most people may not know of, but I do, and I'm like, you know what? I've heard of him enough, I liked him enough, and honestly, he turned out pretty good. He's using that Sasquatch body mold, which I don't mind, and you know, I really don't have any complaints on this. Moving on to the sixth wave, we have figure number 40, Modular Iron Man. This is the classic 90s modular armor that a lot of people were looking for, and honestly, I was happy with my 80th anniversary classic Iron Man. Boy, I saw this guy in person, and that cherry red just shined at me, and I said, you know, maybe I do want another Iron Man. And he's replaced the Iron Man on the shelf. He is fantastic. From what I can tell, completely new mold minus the effect parts, pinless joints, nice and solid, looking snazzy, just excellent sculpting and paint detail on this figure. I have zero complaints. He honestly is quite impressive. Figure 41 is the Vault Guardsman. This is from the Vault, which is a thing in the Avengers lore. That's all I got. I don't know anything else about him, and I didn't feel like I needed him. Figure number 42 is the Stealth Iron Man. Now, this is the 80th anniversary mold, painted blue and gray, so it's the stealth version, which was one of the first alternate Iron Man armors. And hey, it turned out nice. I just don't need all the Iron Man armors in my life. Figure 43 is Dark Star. Starting to build out the Winter Guard. We got Red Guardian, got Crimson Dynamo. Now we got Dark Star. So hey, if you're building Winter Guard, it's out there. There's options. Figure 44, Ironheart. So Riri Williams is a recent character and one that I initially didn't like, but have started to read recent comics with her, and she's definitely improved as a character. I feel like she's gotten more character depth now. And so for that, I did want a figure of her, and she turned out really nice. Brand new sculpt head to toe, pinless joints, really cool figure, really cool look. Hopefully we'll get her other armor with the blacks and purples as well. But yeah, pretty neat looking character. Figure 45, Hologram Iron Man. From what I can tell, this is just a brand new design. So it seems like, hey, we had this mold, let's put it in clear blue, let's paint some lines on it, and boom, there we go. Nice budget saver. Figure 46, Ultron. Finally, an actual Ultron figure. Comic-based Ultrons have been retools or reworkings, and none of them have looked like Ultron until now. Absolutely fantastic. Brand new sculpt, head to toe, pinless joints. Love that we're getting more unique molds in this line. Kirby crackle effect for the mouth, just nothing missing. It's everything I could have wanted from an Ultron and more. Figure number 47 is the Build-A-Figure of the Wave, Ursa Major. Hey, speaking of Winter Guard, there you go. Now we got Ursa Major. I'm not too familiar with the team, so I don't know how many more are left, but I imagine there's only a couple more. So pretty cool that yet another team is getting closer to completion. Moving on to our 7th wave this year, figure number 48 is Quicksilver. Now this is interesting because we have a lineup of MCU Infinity Saga figures, which are based upon the Infinity Saga films, and it's just more gap fillers of stuff we missed before. Quicksilver is one of them. Recently, the anniversary figures are up to 27 bucks a pop, and I opted to get none of them, so we're gonna run through them. But Quicksilver, based on Age of Ultron, hey, it's nice to finally have him in the line. I think people were definitely looking for him. Next up, we have Odin from the original Thor film. Nice look to Anthony Hopkins. Overall, a nice figure. If you're an MCU collector, when they do these anniversary lineups, it's like a gift from the gods. Final Battle Thor, kind of completing some of the endgame stuff that we're still missing. This one is one of the ones people really requested. Iron Man Mark III is figure 51. Because this is the first Iron Man armor that we associate as the major one in the first film, it was definitely good to get it out again. The last time Hasbro did this in 6-inch was back when the first film came out, so it was nice to see a redo. It definitely needed it, and it's an iconic enough armor to be worthwhile. Figure number 52 is Surtur from Thor Ragnarok. Kind of surprised they made him, and he is impressively tall. I've seen pictures. He's about 13 inches tall. Really big figure. Starting to make me feel like we don't need Build-A-Figures if we can just release a character like Surtur straight to retail in a deluxe box, because honestly, I'd rather have it that way. First of the retail 2-packs includes Iron Man Mark 85, featured in the final battle of Endgame. Lots of accessory parts, extra Tony Stark head and neck, which I thought was a great touch. You know, usually we just get you just swap the heads off the neck. Here you have swappable necks, so it gives them a more accurate appearance. And yeah, honestly, a great looking figure. And then to go with him in the 2-pack is the armored Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's like the 3rd or 4th armored Thanos at this point, but hey, there he is, back again, and he's got a cool like half dissolving face effect, which is pretty neat. So going to the other 2-pack, figure number 55, Ironmonger. Looking great. It's got that Ironmonger look, impressively big. It's really nice to get that first MCU villain out. And of course, he comes with Obadiah Stane, which is himself. So you get the sort of civilian version of the character as well as the armored version. Much like how they did the Mark I Iron Man and Tony Stark 2-pack for the MCU 10th anniversary line. They make nice pairings together. Moving on to the next wave, figure 57, Magneto from the Age of Apocalypse. Now, the initial Age of Apocalypse lineup didn't wow me, but the second one did, and Magneto's part of that. He's the leader of the X-Men in the Age of Apocalypse, and he looks fantastic. They got the long hair right. They just made a nice looking figure. Figure 58, Rogue from the Age of Apocalypse. Again, going on those same lines of, that's the Age of Apocalypse design brought to life. And I gotta say, they did a really great job here bringing in Rogue's look. It's kind of tricky to work with because of the art style, but hey, they made it happen. Unfortunately for number 59, Cyclops, I think they kind of messed up a bit. There's just something off about this figure. Could be the use of the Bucky cap mold yet again. Could be the way the hair was done. It just seems kind of odd. I like the idea that Cyclops has one eye in Age of Apocalypse. But this figure doesn't quite hit it, and it's one that's definitely shelf-warmed in my area. Figure 60 is Sabretooth, which is the one I knew we had to have been getting because we got Wild Child in the first wave, and I'm glad to say that it's finally here. I love this version of Sabretooth, probably my favorite version of the character from the comics. And of course, he pairs well with Wild Child, with that kind of weird, awkward chain that Wild Child had, fitting perfectly over Sabretooth's arm. I'm so glad they're finally together. They should have just been in the same wave, but you know what? I'm glad that we have that for the display. Number 61, Shadowcat. So in Age of Apocalypse, Kitty Pryde has kind of a complete makeover. She's not as recognizable, I think, as some of the other versions, but honestly, she turned out pretty cool. The claws are a nice touch, and she reuses some parts from Lady Deathstrike in the legs, so there was some nice shared tooling there for those new molds being made. Figure 62 is Iceman. I love the way Iceman looks here. It's my favorite Iceman Marvel Legend to date. I love the blue. I love the way he just pops with that color, and the overall ice texture feels palatable. In addition, just the overall kind of crazy Age of Apocalypse design for the character. Number 63 is Legion. Now, Legion is not an Age of Apocalypse exclusive character. He is more of an ongoing threat slash ally to the X-Men, but he was the catalyst for creating the Age of Apocalypse, as his powers were what warped reality. So I'm glad that they put him in here. And this figure turned out fantastic. It's a very classic Legion look, and as an important character in the X-Men universe, I'm glad to see him finally enter Marvel Legends. Figure 64 is the Build-A-Figure of the Wave, Age of Apocalypse Colossus. Very perfect pick for a figure. Very nice companion to the rest of the lineup. Very nice, unique sculpted figure. It's nice to get a Colossus that's just big, and that fits Age of Apocalypse where it wouldn't fit a main universe Colossus. Overall, I really like the way this figure came out. So Wave 9 was the Eternals, and they shelf warm pretty bad. This was a recent look at my Target last week, and yeah, post-Christmas, post-sales, post-movie coming out on Disney Plus, and they're still clogging the shelves. And I don't want to say this is like the Eternals are unpopular or anything. I want to say this as they just didn't make good action figures. Figure number 65, Icarus. Icarus's powers includes flight, super strength, and eye beams. He does come with an extra head where he's got eye flashes, but not really eye beams. He should have had something like Cyclops where it's a beam. Figure 66, Makari. Her thing is super speed. Her figure is not that well articulated. That's a problem because she needs to be at least in running poses, and from what I can tell, most people have trouble posing her that way. I do like the ASL usage in her hand selection, and that is a big positive for this figure of the character. Number 67, Sprite. Sprite's powers are making illusions. How the heck do you do that as an action figure? Nobody knows. Number 68 is Cersei. I did pick up Cersei, mostly because she's the lead Eternal, but like, Cersei is cool. I like Cersei. Her powers are really nice and cinematic. She can like change the shape of matter, touch a statue, make water. That's not gonna make into an action figure though. Number 69 is Phastos. Phastos is awesome. He does technology things. His toy can't do any of that because he just comes with hands. In the movie, he can make technology. As a figure, he's got hands. This is a problem. Number 70, Kingo. Now Kingo's thing is firing energy blasts, which usually form as finger guns, and there are effect parts on the finger gun hands, so we've got that. But that's about it. Finger guns. Number 71, Druid. Druig's thing is he can mind control people. That's not gonna make an action figure, guys. And number 72 is the Build-A-Figure Gilgamesh. What's kind of funny about Gilgamesh here is he is strong and powerful, and in the movie, whenever he'd go to use that strength, he'd get kind of armor around his fists, and the figure doesn't have that, which, that kind of sucked. Number 73, Crow. I always forget Crow exists until I watch the movie and go, oh right, this guy. He's a deluxe figure, which is cool. Technically the villain of the movie or something. I mean, if you want him, he exists. Clogging shelves everywhere. Wave 10 for the year, kicking off with 74, Integrated Suit Spider-Man from Spider-Man No Way Home. No spoilers here, but this is based on concept art, not the final design. Oh wait, that happens with almost all the MCU figures tied to a media release. It turned out nice though. I mean, I like the look of the figure. He's pinless, which is great for an MCU Spidey. And I like that if he's not gonna come with open hands, he at least has fists instead of those holding hands that the MCU Spideys always come with that I wonder, what's he supposed to hold? But overall, it's a nice figure. Number 75, the black and gold suit Spider-Man, which isn't accurate to the movie because it's based on concept art, but an earlier concept art than Hot Toys and Funko got, because boy, this is not what this suit looks like in the movie whatsoever. It's mostly just a repaint, but there you go. It exists. Number 76, Doctor Strange. Third time's the charm. We finally got one that looks like Benedict Cumberbatch, which is great because with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out, they can just reuse that head sculpt, and oh boy are they gonna. And you know what? It's fine because he looks great. It's nice to get this look of Doctor Strange before he starts changing costumes in his next movie, and I'm very, very happy with it. Finally feels like we got a proper MCU Doctor Strange figure. Number 77, J. Jonah Jameson. This one's based on his Far From Home appearance, which bleeds into his No Way Home appearance, and it's a suit body with an angry J.K. Simmons head, and that's it. It's cool though. I mean, it is Jameson. There you go. Number 78, Spider-Man Miles Morales from the video game Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is such a good figure. Brand new mold for Miles. Finally not reusing stuff from other Spider-Mans. Brand new accessory count. I love the Venom Strike hands because it's exclusive to Miles' power set. He's the only one that can do the electricity-based Venom Strike. And so I'm really glad to get the figure, but I've noticed that the first thing I did was pop the comic Miles off the shelf and put this one in his place. This costume is iconic. He blends in with the comic stuff. So in addition to being a great video game figure, he's also a great Miles Morales figure in general. I'm very, very, very happy with him. One of my favorites of the year. Number 79, Morlun. Morlun is the villain of the Spider-Verse comics, so it's kind of appropriate that now he's getting a Marvel Legends figure. He's a cool look. He's got that suit body that the Hellfire Club mostly used. And yeah, no real complaints. Number 80, Shriek, the girlfriend to Carnage, who also happened to be in Venom Let There Be Carnage. Kind of funny how that worked out. The comic version of Shriek here is really nice. She's on a new female body mold that has double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, pinless everything. Really hoping we start to see this just get used for every female character in the line, and also a nice version of Shriek. Number 81, Armadillo. He's the Build-A-Figure of a wave of Spider-Man figures, even though he really has nothing to do with Spider-Man outside of a couple times he's fought Spider-Man. Armadillo is one of those everybody villains. He sort of just shows up and fights anybody. He also showed up in the MODOK show. I mean, this is a weird coincidence. I feel like someone like slipped the Hasbro Marvel team like a list of characters showing up in the MODOK show so that they could just have figures come out for them. So yeah, where's my new Wonder Man, Hasbro? Anyways, Armadillo is a great figure. Really nice looking figure. It's Armadillo. I'm actually pretty stoked to have him because he's actually just a neat action figure. Moving on to the 11th wave, figure 82, Zombie Captain America from the MCU's What If series. I didn't like the zombie episode, but it's a really nice sculpted figure, brand new sculpt. They put holes through parts of the body, which gave it a really cool look, but that was an easy skip for me though. Figure number 83, T'Challa Star-Lord, also from What If. It's in the animated style of What If, much like how the Spider-Verse figures are in the animated style. Sort of almost wish they were in the realistic MCU style, like how the Star Wars Black series does its animated figures, but overall, I mean, it looks nice. It's just nowhere in my shelf has a place. Figure number 84, Captain Carter from What If. Very nice looking figure. Thought about getting it. I feel like I would have picked her up if I saw her in person, but just ended up not. The animated style is not going to blend in with the rest of the line, so I kind of just ended up skipping all of these. Figure number 85, Zombie Hunter Spidey. But he is the MCU Spider-Man body mold, but he is in the Avengers Campus style costume, not the Homecoming style. It's the logo that's slightly different, and the web shooters are slightly different. It's probably a version of the costume that Disney can use without talking to Sony. So at least there is that. I just wish it didn't have the dirt spots on it, because I would have totally picked it up as an Avengers Campus Spidey. Number 86, Doctor Strange Supreme from what was my favorite episode of What If. Honestly looks pretty good. Again, it's that animated style, doesn't blend enough with the live action stuff for me to want to get it, but he's probably the best looking of the wave. Figure number 87, Heist Nebula. It's Nebula with blonde hair. I don't even feel like she had an important enough role in the episode to be worth a figure, but here we are. Figure number 88, Sylvie. Sylvie was from Loki Season 1. I didn't like the character that much, so I ended up just skipping over the figure, but at least she pairs up with the variant Loki we got before, and one of the exclusives we'll talk about in a few minutes. Figure number 89 is the Build-A-Figure, which naturally is the Watcher from What If. The rest of the wave is What If minus Sylvie, so it just makes sense. It's nice for Hasbro to finally make a Watcher. I'm still waiting on the Diamond Select reissue to happen, so I skipped it over. But if you're looking for a Watcher, this is probably one of the ways to get one. And figure number 90 is a deluxe release of the Hydra Stomper from the Captain Carter episode, which looks really cool. He looked really neat, but again, if you're not collecting the What If stuff, no reason to get this, but I'm glad they made it, and I'm glad they made it as a separate figure and not a Build-A-Figure. So starting off our final retail wave of the year, we have Mr. Fantastic, figure number 91. This Reed Richards is pretty nice. He has options to have a lab coat or a superhero suit. I wish we could get other stretchy parts behind the stretched fingers because the stretched fingers are weird. I wish we had some more options. But overall, it's a nice looking Reed Richards in that classic blue and white look. Can't be happier. Figure 92, The Thing. Going along the same lines, this is a new version of The Thing. They actually re-sculpted the hip joint so he has the shorter shorts that fit this look. So it's not just repainting the Walgreens one, which got repainted into the modern one. So honestly, pretty great overall. And new head sculpts for The Thing is always a good thing. Number 93, Invisible Woman. having the worst head sculpt of the year and possibly the line. I don't know what they were thinking of this. As you can see, it's not even on the original body it came with. I swapped it onto the modern one because it just looks terrible. Here is the white and blue costume on Sue with the head from the modern one, which just looks 1,000 times better, and is how I'm going to display this. I don't know what they were thinking with the Sue Storm head. Everybody else in the wave, minus Ben, were reusing heads. Why'd you sculpt a new Sue head? It doesn't look good. So I'm glad we have options, but if you didn't get the previous ones, yeah, it's rough. Figure number 94, the Human Torch. Here he is, all flamed on, Johnny Storm. I'm overall, like, really happy with this. I know some people may have wanted some slight tweaks on it. I think it fits the 90s look overall. Nice clear plastic, and it's not the Bucky Cap body this time, but instead the Sunfire body, which makes me very, very happy. Figure number 85, Psycho Man. This guy is one of those recurring Fantastic Four villains who is very obviously Jack Kirby designed. He is very cool looking as an action figure, and I love that he comes with the emotional manipulator tablet thing. It's such a great accessory, such a great looking figure, and I'm so happy he got included in this wave. Number 96, High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary, much like Armadillo, is one of those everybody's bad guy, because he just fights everyone at some point. So a lot of people did want this because he goes with multiple different displays. He's sticking with Fantastic Four for me, just about that time he faced down Galactus is coming into my head. But yeah, overall, a great addition and another brand new figure. We've had probably like 12 to 15 brand new molds this year, which is really impressive. Cruising into exclusive town, we have number 97, the Amazon exclusive Burn Deadpool. Kind of a weird release that somehow missed the X-Men 20th line. Deadpool from the end of Deadpool 2, except it doesn't look like him from the end of Deadpool 2, and it kind of just looks terrible. Next up, we have the Children of Thanos 5-pack, starting with number 98, Thanos. This is like our third regular Thanos. He comes with a gauntlet as an alternate arm. He's Thanos. I got nothing else. Number 99, Proxima Midnight. These are redos of the Black Order to make them movie accurate, which is great. So she's got a new head. She's got the sword she had. Very nice upgrade to the previous release. Number 100, Corvus Glaive. Much like Proxima Midnight, a redo. I don't think he has any new sculpting. I think he's just painted differently to look more accurate because Corvus already was a more accurate mold. Number 101, Ebony Maw. I think they changed the head a bit, but mostly just a paint job because, hey, that first Ebony Maw was pretty accurate. And number 102, the absolute retool of Call Obsidian. Correct weapon this time. They gave him the armor. He looks so much better than the previous one. If they sold Cole Obsidian again on his own, I would have bought him, but I just didn't feel like buying the whole 5-pack. But honestly, I'm glad they redid the Black Order and made them more MCU accurate. To go alongside the MCU Infinity Saga lineup, Amazon did get an exclusive 2-pack, including the Rescue Armor. Once again, a redo of the previous Rescue figure, which I'm perfectly happy with. But this gives you a more accurate, more detailed, has extra accessories that were missing, has a Pepper Potts head. Really just a full upgrade of that previous Rescue figure. And then we also have Captain Marvel in her in-game costume. I actually like the way she looked in-game a whole lot, and I kind of want the figure, but I just don't want to pay the full price for the 2-pack. It's just not as important to me as some other figures in the line. So Amazon was going mad with 5-packs because starting off the Wolverine 5-pack is figure 105 Callisto. Now, Callisto is an X-Men character that's recurring. I don't know what her connection to Wolverine is, but here she is, and she looks great using the Storm body mold for the Punk Rock Storm. Has some new tooling. I'm glad to have Callisto. I hope we get more Morlocks through exclusives because I feel like they're just not as well known, but hey, glad she's here. Number 106, Mastermind. Again, not sure what the connection is to Wolverine, but Mastermind is a Hellfire Club member we didn't have, and this figure works for the most part. I think the more bearded, bushier haired head looks better on this body than the other one, but at least we got a version of Mastermind. Figure 107 is a shirtless Wolverine. Why? Because they could. I don't know. He's got 2 extra heads, which I'm going to swap around to other figures because they're the best Logan head sculpts we've gotten, but this figure overall was not the selling point here. Figure 108, Cyber. Another brand new character. That's the part I can say, is that Cyber has more history with Wolverine. He's like one of those guys that's always pissed off at Wolverine and they fight a lot. Cyber, Mastermind, Callisto, at least 3/5 of this 5-pack are new characters. but there are not necessarily people that want to buy a 5-pack for Mastermind or a 5-pack for Callisto or a 5-pack for Cyber, and I can understand that. It worked out for me, but it may not work for everybody. And then figure 109, rounding out the pack, is a version 2 Omega Red, which I actually like more than the previous one. They replaced the silvers with whites. They gave him an extra head, which I think looks a lot cooler. And if you didn't get Omega Red the first time, he's still pretty hard to find. This 5-pack is an option. Kicking off the fan channel exclusives is number 110, Firestar, who also comes with their dog, Miss Lion. Clearly based on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but it is the comic book design, probably for legal reasons. I'm glad to see she's here. She'll make a nice companion to the Spider-Man and Iceman that we've gotten before. It's nice. She feels like a forgotten character. She is a mutant, so she does belong with the X-Men characters, even though she's mostly known for being from a Spider-Man show. But I'm glad she got out into the line. Number 111 is She-Hulk. This is the gray She-Hulk from 2020, repainted green with a new, calmer head. I like it overall. Doesn't replace the She-Hulk I have on the shelf because I want more of a superhero costume She-Hulk with my Avengers. But it's a She-Hulk. I'm never going to turn down a She-Hulk. Number 112, Maestro. This is the future version of the Hulk that goes with the Old Man Logan and Old Man Hawkeye we got in 2020. So it whirls together, just something that I opted to not get. I pre-ordered him initially and then I was like, I don't have room for all these Hulks, and canceled my order. Number 113 is Webman. This is a character that appeared simply in one issue of a comic. I'm not kidding. It's an easy repaint, but boy, yeah, they really pulled an obscure one here. There was a Black Widow 2-pack that was kind of the oopsies, we need to fix stuff. So 114 is Red Guardian. Now accurate to the film, has an unmasked head, even has Red Guardian's action figure included. That's pretty neat. Overall, a total upgrade to the previous MCU Red Guardian. And then also included is Melina for the first time, rounding out Natasha's family nicely. Rounding out the fan channel exclusives were some retro carded stuff. First up, Spider-Man 2099. I picked this up because the joints are a heck of a lot better than the previous release, even if it's the same mold. They slightly tweaked the size of the spider emblem, but I'm really glad we got an upgrade because I feel like the joint quality here is much better than before. Number 117, Hercules. Now this is a very classic Hercules as opposed to the modern one we got prior. I love having both. Hercules is one of my favorite Avengers characters, and I really can't say anything too bad about this. This is fantastic. New legs with pinless joints. He's got the hammer. They included all of the body hair that they could, which is a nice detail. I know it's extra paint budget, but it just adds to the ambiance of Hercules. And yeah, just an excellent figure. And number 118 is Tigra. An absolute surprise when she got announced because I figured we weren't going to get what is essentially naked Catwoman at any form of retail. But here she is. She looks pretty good. I think the orange is too bright or just off in some ways. The two head sculpts are great. Fully articulated, pinless body for a female character, which is fantastic. Very happy to have Tigra. Never expected it, but glad to have it. Figure 119 is our only GameStop exclusive. It's the video game Miles Morales Spider-Man in camouflage colors. So he's all clear plastic and stuff. Looks really cool. Figure 120, exclusive to Hasbro Pulse, is the cartoon shaded Venom. I actually like the fact that they went with the Omega Red body on this figure, and I'm looking forward to a possible Venom on this body later without the cartoon shading. Next up, the MODOK World Domination Tour 2-pack. First of all is MODOK, looking very Elvis and very interesting, as well as the Captain from Next Wave. So this is like a Next Wave themed 2-pack, and that's a cool exclusive for Hasbro Pulse for their PulseCon event. Hasbro Pulse also had an Excalibur 3-pack with figure 123 being Captain Britain. This is a version 2 of the character, and I love it so much more than the original. This is definitely more in line with the Captain Britain I was looking for, and he's got the Excalibur sword itself, which is excellent. I could not be happier with this version of Brian Braddock, Captain Britain, and I hope we'll get other Captain Britons in the future. We also got 124, Megan. Now Megan goes perfectly with Captain Britain. They are a lovely couple, and she turned out pretty okay. I think the problem with characters that have really large hair, such as Megan or Medusa, is that it restricts a lot of their movement. That's definitely the case, but it is nice to have a version of this character for the shelf. Rounding out the 3-pack is 125, Shadowcat. This version of Kitty Pryde was when she was part of Excalibur, and overall, it's an okay figure. I think they tried to go for the puffy sleeves by reusing the Age of Apocalypse Rogue sleeves, but they're not puffy enough, and the hair isn't big enough and curly enough to really give that, 80s Excalibur vibe. So I feel like she's the one that was the weakest out of the three. Going alongside the Fantastic Four Retro Wave, 126 is Human Torch, this being a Johnny Storm powered down. Some flame effects here and there, reuses the head from the modern Johnny Storm figure, but overall, a nice look and a nice figure. Number 127 is the Invisible Woman. Here is a figure that actually improves on the regular one, because even though it's the same head sculpt as the normal Sue from the Vintage Wave, it's much better because you can't see the painted details, which is where that other head failed. So it honestly is a nice, better version of Sue to have on the shelf. There also was a Shop Disney and Hasbro Pulse shared exclusive, which is such a weird sentence to say, but all right. Number 128, Domino. This is her 90s X-Force look, which is good to see because she did debut during X-Force, and we had a modern Domino, but not the classic 90s one. And it's certainly very 90s, but a lot of new parts were used here, which I really appreciate. We also get Cannonball with his legs this time, because a lot of people didn't like the fact that Cannonball is released only with the burst effect for legs, and it's nice to have a legged version. It definitely takes up less room on the shelf, that's for sure. And number 130 is Rictor. So Rictor, we've not had a Marvel Legends figure for ever, so it's really nice to see him join the lineup. Another X-Force character that goes with that 90s display, and one that I've actually come to appreciate due to his recent appearances in the modern Excalibur comic. So the first Haslab from Marvel Legends shipped this year, and that was the Sentinel Haslab project. Now this, of course, is just a massive, massive figure. But let's talk about it. This was a pre-order campaign done in 2020 for a figure shipped in 2021. And basically you had to pay for it up front. It had to meet a certain number of backers in order to be made. But the main Sentinel itself is just one giant. And there was alternate options included, including a battle-damaged version, which gives him an extra hand and head, where it looks like he's been beat up by the X-Men. There is another head for the Tri-Sentinel look, as well as a head to have Master Mold, which I think really does fit with it being a larger Sentinel than other Sentinel figures. And all of these have eyes light piped for the light up chest, as well as eyes on the figure. And there's just an insane amount of detail and depth and articulation to this guy that I could do an entire video on, and many have, and it's just such an impressive piece of Marvel Legends history. To go alongside that, figure 132 is Bastion. So Bastion is a X-Men villain who is part Sentinel, part human, really interesting in the lore of the comics, and he was a good pack-in to put with the Haslab Sentinel. Adding to that, we also have the option to make him into a Prime Sentinel in the male type, which are Sentinels that are human-sized as infiltration units. And to go alongside that, figure 133 is the female Prime Sentinel, which was also featured in the comics. And it is nice that was an extra pack-in that came after a certain number of backers were met, and it just rounded out the package. Like, the main Sentinel package had 3 extra heads, an extra hand, 2 tentacles, 2 pack-in figures, one of which came with an extra head, and that really made the $350 price for this whole bundle feel worth it. And I look forward to seeing how Galactus turns out in 2022. So the 2021 Marvel Unlimited exclusive was Miss Marvel dressed in a Spider-Man costume, which is cool. It fits Kamala's sort of fangirl nature to have this, but I couldn't find any specific artwork of this costume, so it's a little strange. She even has new arms to have the entire arm swap as opposed to just the forearm. But ultimately, this didn't get me to sign up for Marvel Unlimited, but a tease for next year, the 2022 bonus figure actually got me to sign up, and we'll look at it in a year from now. Starting off our Target exclusives is figure 135, Katie. Katie is from Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. She also includes Good Boy Morris. A really nice looking figure. I wonder why she wasn't just in the Wave. Kind of weird that she was a Target exclusive. She was really easy to find though, so I have no real complaints. The dress does restrict her articulation, but considering she is an archer, it's not too bad because she's not so much in the martial arts posing as much as the dynamic ranged action, which she can do well. Target's contribution to the Infinity Saga lineup is the Happy Hogan 2-pack. So 136 is Happy Hogan himself, a character that's been there since the beginning in Iron Man 1, has been an Iron Man supporting character and now a Spider-Man supporting character. Very glad to see him in the line. Definitely something we needed after how many appearances he's had in the movies. He was, of course, packed in with one of those repaint armors from Iron Man 3, this one being the Mark 21. I got nothing else. It's a brown Iron Man. They keep doing this. They're like, hey, you want Civil War War Machine? Here, have a weird disco Iron Man. You want Happy? Here, have a brown thing. Figure 138 is Agent Mobius M. Mobius from Loki. played by Owen Wilson. I picked this up simply because I thought Owen Wilson was really charming as Mobius in the Loki series, and I quite liked him. It's kind of fun to have alongside Loki and Sylvie. I'm sure they make a nice trio. With Mobius, he was fun and enjoyable, and it was nice to get an action figure of Owen Wilson for the MCU shelf. Continuing the Eternals is figure 139, Athena, played by Angelina Jolie. This was the Eternals figure I wanted the most, and I'm glad she was easy to find. In fact, I got her, and then I got Cersei half off because of a buy one, get one. Pretty nice figure overall. Out of all the Eternals, Athena's ability to summon weapons actually is replicated incredibly well in action figure form. She comes with multiples. It works out pretty good. This figure was also shared, I think, with Disney parks, because when I was at Disneyland back in October, they had the entire Eternals lineup, including Athena and Ajax, who were exclusive to stores. So food for thought there. Number 140 is Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a version 2 using a lot of the same molding for the wings from the previous Build-A-Figure version from 2017, but now retooling and repainting the Vulture himself to be more accurate. He's got the gauntlets, he's got the correct helmet, looking more like the version in the movie as opposed to the concept art. And then the last Target exclusive was the stealth version of Captain Carter from What If. This costume appeared in the next to last episode of season 1, and it's nice to see that they replicated it here. It was supposed to mirror Steve Rogers having a stealth costume in The Winter Soldier. Kicking off our Walgreens exclusives, which was cosmic themed, 142 is Silver Surfer. This is a fallen Silver Surfer where he's all black, he's got Thor's hammer, it's from a comic I didn't read. I didn't want this one, but he wasn't easy to find either because Walgreens exclusives had really horrible distribution. Next up, 143 Nova. This is a classic version of Nova, who also comes with the Nova logo as a stand piece. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be entirely, but this was really nice, a nice classic version of Nova. This was a figure I waited almost all year for, only to end up ordering it from the Walgreens website by chance because it happened to go up and I happened to catch it. Distribution was terrible, never saw this guy in stores. In fact, my Walgreens stores have removed Marvel Legends almost entirely at almost every store, and that's concerning, especially because 144 is Quasar, who did not go on the Walgreens site, did not go on Hasbro Pulse, and I have had zero luck finding a way to get this figure. It's one I want for my shelf. I wanted to put him with my Guardians of the Galaxy figures. Quasar is nowhere to be found. And hopefully Walgreens is just kind of slow. They just put up their Transformers exclusive like about a couple days ago. So maybe in the near future I'll be able to get a Quasar, as well as to be able to get 145 Binary, because I wanted her to go with my X-Men. This was Carol Danvers' weird I'm Energy being form in the comics, but I want her to be in my X-Men shelf, and I can't because I can't find her. So hopefully Quasar and Binary end up on the Walgreens site or Hasbro Pulse or some other way, even like a fan channel reissue like some previous exclusives. Rolling into the Wal-Mart exclusives, number 146 is the John Walker Captain America from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now I picked this one up to get free shipping on another Walmart exclusive, but I actually really like this because it's packaged like the John Walker Captain America toys that they had in the show. So it's kind of an in-universe thing. This was an online exclusive to Walmart. I don't think these were sold in stores, but I thought the packaging was so cool and it made it like a nice sort of like prop replica collectible in addition to just being a figure. Number 147 is the Infinity War version of Captain America to go in the Infinity Saga lineup. It's better than the one that was based on concept art that came out during the movie time, but I don't think either head looks that great. I honestly wasn't too impressed with this figure, and it was definitely an easy pass. Number 148, our final Eternals figure, Ajax, which was played by Salma Hayek, and honestly, not a great likeness. I'm going to go off the fact that Salma Hayek thought it looked nothing like her, and she thought it was ridiculous, especially the unhelmeted head. Not great. I haven't been to Walmart stores because I don't like going to Walmart that much. Probably shelf warming if you're looking for it, but that is the last Eternals figure, and we can move on. Number 149, Compound Hulk. Another one of those figures where I ordered it because it was the Hulk mold that I like, but I was like, where's it gonna go? Because I'm already out of room for Hulks as is, but it's nice looking. I would have liked a resculpted head, so it could have been half Green's expression, half Red's expression like it was in the comic, but alas, it is a Red Hulk repaint. And the final 2021 Marvel Legends release, number 150, Spider-Man Upgraded Suit version 2. Now with an unmasked head and that same web effect we've been seeing since 2012. But that's it. That's it. 150 figures. We're done. We went through everything. It's over. It's top 10 time. These are just my personal top 10 figures based on what was released this year. Number 10, MCU Scarlet Witch. Number 9, Legion. Number 8, Modular Iron Man. Number 7, Lady Deathstrike. Number 6, Ultron. Number 5, Miles Morales Spider-Man Gamerverse. Number 4, Thanos. Number 3, MODOK. Number 2, Hercules. And number 1, of course, the Haslab Sentinel. So that's my top 10. Let me know what your top 10 is in the comments down below. I hope that wasn't excruciatingly long. I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible. I'm saying this because even though it's the end of the video, I filmed this before filming any of the figures. So just so you know, production schedules are a little weird. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, hit subscribe notification bell, even if you only tune in for the Marvel video once a year. I appreciate the subscription because the subscription thing helps the whole algorithm. So thank you, everyone that's already liked and subscribed. Leave a comment, tell me your favorite Marvel Legend of the year or anything. You know, you could just say hi. I appreciate sometimes just people going, hi, and I'll respond with hi, and the conversation never goes any further, but you know, it's nice. So, on that note, stay tuned for future videos on this channel. We're going to go a little lighter, I think, next week because doing a rundown every week this month has been exhausting. But yeah, so check out videos if you haven't. Thank you to everyone that already has. Check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for Marvel news and more. My awesome graphic designer on Twitter at darkclass643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.